record on this computer. Okay, so I'm gonna try to put my hand down now. See. Okay. So I'm going to share a little bit, as Reggie said, about what brought us to the creation of this program called Seeing Me in the World. And I'm going to share my screen, tell you a little bit about it. All right. Okay. Everybody see that okay? All right. So this is just one of our previous Seeing Me in the World visits from a UU congregation, I think from, this might have been Weston. So we started Seeing Me in the World in 2017, and it grew out of learning about groups of coming of age students who were visiting Boston on what was sometimes called a pilgrimage, a heritage tour. And we learned that young people were coming from all over the country and visiting the Unitarian Universalist Association headquarters, which I think then were on Beacon Street. They were going to Walden Pond. They were seeing where Henry David Thoreau had lived. And we felt that the work that we do in Boston should be on that tour. We are a nearly 200-year-old organization that was founded in Boston. We were founded by the Reverend Joseph Tuckerman, who's considered the founder of modern day social work. We are in the heart of the historic African-American community in Boston. We have a historic campus. We have a historic neighborhood. And we're always thinking about racism and how to dismantle it. And so we felt that we had something that was important to offer on a tour. So we raised our hand and started working with somebody that was then at the UUA to invite groups that were coming to Boston to make a stop here at the Urban Ministry. This is just a group of young people who were visiting. And this was an organization that was a partner of ours in the neighborhood. And so they helped out. And that was a community service component of what we were then developing into a fuller program. So rather than just a stop, we started to expand it to be a day-long program, half a day long. We experienced we tried out different models, but it included sometimes a community service component. It included a tour of our historic campus, and we would share videos, conversation, exercises, reflections. And then this was really interrupted and halted by COVID in 2020. This is one of the convenings that we had with some youth groups that merged together here. Then in 2022, 2023, we engaged a minister named Reverend June Cooper, who's she's a Baptist, and she has a long history of leading pilgrimages and tours that at their heart are about learning and uncovering the history of racism. She leads Green Book tours. She's led tours that she calls pilgrimages to see the lynching museum. And so we engaged her to kind of reimagine our tours program, but also to reimagine how Seeing Me in the World could fit into that context of the tours that we offer as an organization to lift up and shine a light on the richness of this community and to push back on some of the traditional narratives about this community of Roxbury. And then in 2024, we realized, and I think Reggie helped us to realize that we really needed to engage the young people who are in our after school program in really thinking about what should be the content of this tour, because it is for other young people. And so Reggie and Sophia kind of took this project on and really have been thinking about it for months. And this is what brings us here today to talk about where they are with the program and what we want to offer Unitarian Universalist youth who are coming into this community. And this is just a picture of Reverend Cooper leading a tour from Tennessee. So I'm going to stop sharing there, and I am going to turn it over to Reggie and Sophia to tell you where we are in 2024 and what we're hoping will happen in the months ahead.
Amazing. Thank you, Mary Margaret. And I'm just gonna, ooh, I can't share my screen. It's saying it's disabled.
I will give you the power. All right, there you go.
Thank you. All right. So, as Mary Margaret said, Sophia and I have been working tirelessly over the last couple of months to sort of revamp this program to turn it into a program that's by young people for young people. And when we were exploring, oh, well, we've already introduced ourselves, so I'll skip this one. But when we were exploring what this could look like, we really thought about what made Roxbury so great, and we came to the consensus that it's really the community and the community building and the people in the community and just identity that really make Roxbury what it is. And we thought that we wanted to really share this with other youth that are not from the area and show them what makes Roxbury so great and what also makes their community so great and how they can be agents of change in their own communities. So the program overview for this, we came up with See Me in the World is designed to explore the Roxbury community with young people from UU congregations. This program offers participants the opportunity to explore, reflect, and connect with the broader world around them. Through a guided tour, discussions, and activities, participants will delve into themes of community and identity while using Roxbury as a lens for exploration. And when we were looking at places that we wanted to take these young people and the point that we wanted to get across, we really looked at what makes Roxbury so great. And we thought it's the culture, the empowerment, art, and inclusivity of the area. So when we were looking, I'm going to come back to this one, sorry. When we were looking at the tour stops that we really wanted to highlight, we came up with places like Hibernation Hall, the National Center of Afro-American Artists, Frugal Bookstore, Black Market, the Bruce C. Bowling Building, Eustis Street Fire Station, the Dillaway Thomas House, and the First Church in Roxbury, which a lot of these areas are historical landmarks in the area, but they also hold a lot of cultural significance to the members of Roxbury. And before I go back to the timeline, I'm going to pass it over to Sophia for why she chose some of these areas and why she thinks that it's important for young people to visit these. Oops, sorry.
So when I was thinking about what I wanted, like the youth to take away from this tour, I think it was the aspect of, yes, community, but also the knowing that every day is a new day to learn, right? And I feel like as youth, we're like sponges, right? Like we just capture all this information, and then whatever you do with that information, it is really up to you. And so I really wanted like students like me to go into every place being a student. No matter how I also think that it doesn't matter how old you are as well. But when I was thinking about these places, I wanted places in which the youth felt like they were empowered to make a change within their own community. So what I'm learning today, all these historic people, or even people that made small changes within their community that eventually evolved into something bigger, I learned this from this place, and I want to bring this back into my own community. And one of the things that the urban ministry actually really instills upon us, I think it's even in the back of our sweatshirts, is learn history and make change. And when it comes to, and I feel like when it comes to this aspect of making change, I always say that history doesn't repeat itself; it actually rhymes. And I don't want the youth living the same cycles that history has gone through over time. So when it came to choosing these places, I wanted the students to feel like they could be the people that are making change, and that they could put themselves in the shoes of others and start to value the importance of history. And history actually teaches us what not to do in the future. So as you grow older, you are ultimately responsible for your own ignorance. And so why not fill brains with positive information? And I think that even as I have been learning about these things, as I am going to be one of the ones leading the tour, it just made me realize how much work there is to be done and how much has already been made. Um, but yeah, I think that that's one of the things that made me the most excited to choose these places. But it was also the fact that many things could be made out of these places. So I am someone, I'm kind of young, so I'm very much into TikTok, into Instagram. And I don't like very long tours where people just talk and talk and talk. I actually like to interact. And so within each stop, I actually have made um, different activities in which the students could engage. Because I know I have taken a lot of tours to actually prepare for this one. And I'm like, wow, like, okay, like I actually want to interact with what is happening. And so I created things like storytelling, poetry, role plays, collages, and even artistic pieces in which they could paint. And I just think this made it even more like interesting for the youth. And so yeah, there's a lot of components to the tour, but that is why I chose the places, because they could interact and because they could feel themselves in the shoes of those who have made history. And yes.
Thank you, Sophia. I'm just going to pull this back up quickly. Um, so again, Sophia tied that up very, very concisely. She's amazing. She did so much work on finding all these spaces and putting together activities. I'm very grateful for you, Sophia. So thank you. But overall, the day will be about 3 to 4 hours, maybe 4.5 hours, and ideally, youth would arrive at the urban ministry at 10 a.m. We take a brief tour of the building. We are on a historical site. We have the First Church of Roxbury Meeting House there. So hopefully that'll be finished towards like the later dates, and they can get a chance to see some of that area, some of the work that we do in the building. Do a brief icebreaker. Leave for the first half of the tour at 10:30. Break at 12 o'clock for lunch in Nubian Square, at Nubian Market, or at Dudley Cafe. Come back together at 1 for our second half of the tour and activities, and then do a concluding activity at 2:30. And yeah, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much. Ultimately, we really just want this to be a meaningful experience for youth, and we really want them to be able to come together and be agents of change in their own community through the lens of Roxbury. And our tentative dates as of right now, and we learned from our last meeting that we had on Sunday that these might not work for everyone, but our standing dates are March 24th, April 21st, and May 19th. Sophia and I will be sending out a poll in the next couple of days to see if these dates work for everyone that has attended, or give you the ability to suggest other dates. And for our friends that are further far away, we're not married to these dates at all. We could do these in the fall for you. We could do these next spring for you, whatever makes sense. And yeah, thank you again. And we can accept any questions, or if you don't have a question right now and you would like to email us a question later, you can reach out to me. My email's here. I'll put it in the chat later, and Mary Margaret can also include her email.
Thanks, Reggie. Thanks, Sophia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just wanted to open it up to comments, reflections, questions. So I'm going to just open it up. What's the cost? Well, Lisa, the cost is free except for your lunch.
Yep.
We actually
Cost is free.
Yep. It's
Sorry. So,
yep. It is free.
no,
The cost.
That's pretty amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have I mean, I assume you're just thinking about high school aged kids doing this, or middle school aged kids doing this?
yeah, middle school and high school age kids. So I'm looking at anywhere from 14 or 13 to 18.
Would you consider more than one date, more than one tour?
Yeah, of course. Whatever makes, like, we're very flexible. This is our first time doing the program this way, so if you wanted to split a group and maybe do 2 separate days, if you wanted to do one part of the tour on one day and then come back for a different time for timing, whatever works for you, we want to make this as flexible for young people as possible, because we know that they're overbooked, they're overscheduled, and it can be difficult to get to something like this.
Cecil.
Do you have a minimum maximum size for the group?
We were ideally, just because there's a part of the tour that's going to require being transported, and our bus only holds 15, but if chaperones come and they're willing to transport their students, or let's say the parents bring them, they want to transport them, that really opens up the range of students that we're willing to accept.
So,
And I think
sorry,
there's
so if we have our own transportation, because we're just in Bedford, right? So we might just carpool, then
yeah, and yeah, only one part of the tour requires transportation. The second part of the tour is a walking tour. So it's really just that's what really kind of shrinks the numbers a little bit because our bus only holds 15 people.
15 people. Okay.
Yeah.
But you were combined congregations, right? So so when we sign up, we have to let you know this how many we are, and you just have to
Yes.
let us know, oh, we already have another group that signed up. Can you come back at another date? Something like that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
How many members of how many youth people do you have at your in your religious ed program?
I
Do you
don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to
No,
be
thank you.
positive and everyone will want to come.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
With that.
Lisa Pilot has a question.
Just a logistical question, because I've never been to your campus. Is there parking?
Yes. Very, very I'm very gracious that we have parking because parking on the streets gets a little wild. But we have a decent sized parking lot.
Reggie, there's a question from Jaylee. Do you want or need adults? It fell down. You want or need adults chaperones, I think was the question.
Yes, and then Shannon, I'll come back to your question after. But to answer Jaylee's question, yes, ideally to have chaperones, it would be me and maybe one other adult there, most likely one other adult. So if you could send one adult for maybe every 7 to 8 kids, that'd be a great ratio for us. And Shannon's question, are there any particular parameters around the dates that were already chosen? Do you mean, do we choose these for a specific reason?
Yeah, I mean, we have our tentative date as that first weekend in May. So, I might
Mhm.
offer if that could be a possible date, but since it is so close, there's a possibility I might try to work things around so we can come for the 19th. But I didn't know if there was,
Mhm.
I know online when we were planning, it said something about Patriots Day and how Boston is just a very busy area at that time. So I was just curious about why you chose those dates.
Yeah, we chose those dates just to kind of spread them out a little bit, and we put them on Sundays because we thought that's when you'd have the most students available and when they would have the most free time. Again, we're not married to these dates at all. If there's a different weekend that makes sense for you, and me and Sophia are able to be there, we would absolutely put that on for you. And we can talk definitely more offline about what that May date would look like, and if it's possible.
I also wanted hi everyone again. I also wanted to touch upon the fact that some of it is like for one part we're taking the van, but then for the other part we're walking. When it came to like taking that decision, I actually really wanted the students to be able to explore and walk around the area so they're not going from like car to car, so they actually get to feel for the area, and I think that is very important. And yeah.
Nubian Square is a very lively, bustling area. We have a Black-owned bookstore there. We have great cafes. The library's right there. It's really, I think it would be very useful for them to get boots on the ground and really explore the area.
Lisa.
Yes, Lisa.
Would the walking tour be accessible for folk that might not be able to walk well?
We could definitely, we could still transport them via the van if they cannot walk very well. The area is mostly flat except for the hill up to the church. We do have the downside of being a big white hill on a church. But other than that, if we need to accommodate, we can keep the van available for those that may not be able to be as mobile.
Not knowing Roxbury, how far from the typical coming of age stops is Roxbury? Well,
That'd be a question for you, Mary Margaret.
yeah. So other coming of age stops are like Arlington Street Church is one. I mean, you could take the subway from Arlington Street here, I think. I think you could Google it. MapQuest it. Depends on how you're moving around Boston. But I think in the past we have had coming of age students come from Arlington Street here. So I think Boston is not that big. So if you're in Boston, nothing is that far.
Yeah. And once you get into Boston, like Mary Margaret said, it's very easy to get around on the train. Like you can pay via Apple Pay on your phone. They make it really easy to get on and off the train, and the maps are easy to understand. And you could always Google it too, and Google will give you train directions as well.
But we're in Boston, just as some of the other stops are in Boston.
Do we have any more questions? Or if anybody, if you think of something later, you could always email us. I'll pull back up the slide with the dates, and then I'll go over to the slide with my email, just make sure everybody got them. So again, these are the tentative dates. Sophia and I will be sending out that document with if these dates work for you all and the option proposed dates that would work. And this is my email if you feel you have a question that comes later. That's rwalker@uuum, that's 3 U's.org. Amazing.
And if you would like us to keep you updated, if you could either put your email in the chat or send Reggie your email, either one. If you're not on if we don't have your contact information, so we can sort of follow up if things develop with Seeing Me in the World, we'd be happy to loop you in. And it might be good if you don't, if you don't want to be added to our mailing list, let us know. We send out 1 email per month. It's not a lot. It's chock full of information. It's a really good email. If you don't want us, that's also fine. Just maybe type that in, that don't add me, but otherwise we'll add you also to our e-news and keep you in particular updated about this program and the dates and what's happening, and always happy to answer any other questions. I hope you'll check.
I will say
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll say biasly, our e-news page is amazing. It's developed by our director of communications, Vinny, and a couple of our other interns. They do a great job.
That's right.
Great
Yeah,
content.
our interns do. Yeah, our youth interns also help create the e-news. And if again, I know that some folks were from out of Boston area and don't know us as well. So I really encourage you to go to our website. There's so much information there about what we're about and what we're working on. And we think that while we are focused in Greater Boston, we want to be a resource to UUs who are working on racial justice. And so I encourage you to take a look. We are sort of on the ground doing our work in real time. So love to have you connect with us.
Yeah. And I'll also say for our friends that have not been to the building before, we're happy to have you and give you a tour anytime. Come stop by. We're always welcoming visitors.
Yeah,
But
so
their new garden space is really nice, so you might want to wait till spring.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know us, we inhabit, we inherited this campus and the historic building that's known as First Church Roxbury. And there's not a congregation in there, but it is a Boston landmark. And it's worth seeing. This neighborhood and this space is just worth seeing anytime anybody's in Boston. It's really pretty stunning.
And we have a great view of the skyline too.
Of Boston City.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah. We do. So thank you so much. I know most folks here have probably had a long day with lots on your plate, and I really appreciate you taking your supper time while you're cooking in some cases, but just taking the time to be with us to hear about this. We'd love for you to participate. We're really eager to be a resource and connect young people and young people. So just let us know how we can answer any questions or give you any more info.
Thank you
Wonderful
very much. It was very
presentation.
interesting.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all again.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.